Hello, welcome. I really hope that this is working and that it's picking up both the audio and the video. I actually did not anticipate to have any issues today with making this video, but I forgot that I had downloaded a streaming application. So we'll just see how this goes, and hopefully it's all in alignment. Okay, so I'm just kind of settling back in after things not going as expected. And sometimes I kind of have an idea of what the patterns are that are being presented with the moon cycles, or just whatever the current energy cycle is. As I sat and felt into that, I didn't really get anything in the moment, so we're going to go ahead and just consult using the Oracle decks. And I'm using one of my Oracle decks that I do not generally use for these collective readings. If this is your first time tuning in, the way that this works is that I use various Oracle decks to get interpretations on what the energy is for the collective as a whole, and then how it may present itself to us personally, individually, and then maybe some action steps that we can take to best utilize the energy of this time. So the deck that I'm using is from Mystical Shaman. This is one of my favorites and really what I use just for my personal readings, but it wanted to be used today in a very specific way. So I'm going to go ahead and start to pull some of these cards. So our first three cards are Pachamama, our beloved Earth Mother, the Andean Cross, representing all of the cardinal directions, the heaven and earth, and then the space where it meets inside of us. And then the Mystical Shaman. And it makes me, the Mystical Shaman, I think is very relative to non-attachment and not being caught up in maybe the emotional pull of expectations not being met. So kind of just like what I was dealing with earlier. It's so funny how that tends to work out when I do these readings. I'm usually presented in person with what the energy is and what the transmission is for the message. Pachamama. This represents the unconditional love that the earth has for all of her children, including the stones, the plants, the animals, and humans. This feels like an invitation to come back to your natural rhythms. And if you've been following me for long, you know I talk a lot about the way that our biological systems are informed by the Earth's geomagnetic force, by the electromagnetic field of the Earth, and how it syncs with our electromagnetic field, which then informs the biology through the brain and the heart of how to operate. So, now is the time to eat right, love right, and be joyous, regardless of the circumstances you may find yourself in. Be grateful for your life, your body, and all that nourishes you. Pachamama invites you to relish each breath, embrace your joy and your pain equally, and discover love through both. The Andean Cross This is a depiction, as I mentioned, of the 4 cardinal directions, which are aspects of reality, consciousness, as well as heaven and earth, and then the meeting place within us, within the Sacred Heart. So the invitation with this card is the Indian cross announces the start to a great new journey. It's time to raise your gaze from the mundane day-to-day to that which until now has seemed beyond your grasp. Allow new wisdom to guide you and stop trying to make sense of it all before you respond with a resounding yes. And then following that is the mystical shaman. So again, this is about non-attachment. Instead of being defined by your stories, allowing yourself to be just totally aware of the places where you maybe are over-identifying or identifying too much with success, achievement, value, whether it's in yourself or some external thing that you're wanting to manifest. This is the symbol of the myth maker and storyteller who is neither made of nor defined by the story. Instead, he observes it, evolves through it, perceives all aspects of it. In so doing, the mystical shaman represents the ability to dream a new story, a new myth, dreaming all things into being. He dances between worlds, wearing the cloak of the world loosely around his shoulders, and sings the world into being. He reminds us to be in the world and travel through it, but not to be defined by it or become too attached to the experience. So, this feels already like such a light invitation into newness, which, again, so apropos as we are moving into the natural cycle of new beginnings with the moon in Leo. And Leo is it's heart-centered. It is the heart chakra in the cosmological chakra system, in our galaxy at least, in our solar system, I should say. So the Pachamama card was about come back to yourself, come back to your connection with nature and earth, honor your body, do the things that are nourishing and healthy for you, to support you. Slow down and really be grateful. Be grateful for all of the little things, both the heavy and the light, the difficult, the pain, and the joy and the expansion. And then the Indian cross is about like this interdimensional opening. There is a wealth of opportunity here for us to really seed our future experience without the expectation, which is what the mystical shaman is about. So being able to start to create this dream without identifying so much with the story, maybe. This is an example of, if I just have this thing, I'll be happy. Or I'll be able to take a break. Or, maybe something achievement-based. Maybe it's that perpetual grasping of, as soon as I have this, I get that, I feel like this, or I am seen in this way, I will be happy. And really all we're actually seeking is peace of mind, peace in the moment. So why do we have to keep grasping for that when we can just focus in on the moment now and be grateful? And then through that, we start to create the seeds of the future of more of those experiences without needing to attach a narrative, without needing to play a specific role. This is good medicine. What might we encounter on a mental, maybe like psychosomatic, mental, emotional level? Spiritual energy is what you're experiencing when you're enthused by something and all the high energy comes up inside of you. This was my experience just yesterday. I had the opportunity to bless someone, and in following through with the enthusiasm that drove that, it was an inspirational energy. And one of my favorite writers, James Redfield, who wrote the Celestine Prophecy, he talks about this energy of inspiration and how it's very much a part of the web of synchronicity that allows us to be open and in communication with the magic of life. That guiding force that drops us the little breadcrumbs along the path that says, hey, you're on the right path, you're doing good. This card reminds me of what I was experienced yesterday, and then how it's continued to open to these various doors of opportunity to bless more, to feel more, because it's in those moments when we're in service of other, through divine alignment, through inspiration, that we then are one with the abundance of the universe. We can manifest whatever our highest good is. We can attract that to us. We can attract more of those experiences that make us feel light and purposeful and joyous and fully present. Because it's only in the present that we can experience that joy and that gratitude and that lightness and that sense of being and meaning. Let's see, what might stand in the way? You are not your thoughts. You are simply aware of your thoughts. You know, and some may see this as almost like an oversimplification, but you know, that's the thing, is that we like to complicate things because we think that it has more meaning. In reality, we assign meaning to everything. So you are not your thoughts. You are simply aware of your thoughts. Let's keep going. Let's just keep seeing what's revealed about the individual journey right now. Forgiveness. Service. Empathy. Forgiveness, service, and empathy. Forgiveness. I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. So could it be a time to do a little investigation? You know, where are you withholding love? And this can be in a current relationship, or this could be in a past experience. You may not even be in contact with this person anymore. They may not even be incarnated on this earth any longer, or in the form that you knew them in. Is there some place where the ego, the identifying force within the will, is holding on out of its small beliefs? And when I say that, I want to construct this idea of we are eternal. We are greater than our identification, the way that we see ourselves, and the way that the world sees us. Just as the divine is much greater than any religious box that we could place it in. So there are two things that are coming up with this. Because we are this eternal creation that has taken a form, we can then play this story of limitation, that we were hurt by something that happened to us. And we were hurt because there is some belief that we are weak, maybe in some way. And just bear with me here, okay? That we Let me reframe these words for a moment. In the moment that we believe that we were hurt, we have captured our perspective of ourselves and formed it into that we are so finite, that we are just this form, that we can actually be hurt by something else outside of us. But when we back out from that, when we're in these moments of gratitudefulness, we feel that we are much larger. And we know that. We touch that eternal part of ourself, the timelessness. And when we touch that, we realize that we actually are so much greater than any small identification that we could receive from a projection or identify as ourselves. I know this sounds all kind of convoluted, but it's going to come together. Just bear with me. The other part of that, the reflection in that, is that when we hold on to the construct that we build around another person, well, they'll never be good enough, or they'll never get better, or they are this, just simply by stating that someone is a narcissist. You have now confined them energetically by binding them with your consciousness and your projection of them. You have now bound them. So it's not as easy for that person now to become anything other than that, because you have now identified them with it. You have assigned the meaning. So these are two polarities. This is the projected force that we can place on the world outside of us, or on a person outside of us. And then the reception of a projection that another person can offer us. We're not victims, because we are always playing a part in all of it equally. But we can choose to accept the identification of hurt because of the force that the other person wants to project onto us. Again, I know it might start to come together. It will eventually. So coming back to forgiveness. What needs to be forgiven within you? What do you need to let go outside of you? Where can you start to break down these identifying factors, or identifying, what's the word I'm looking for here? Let's just say identifiers, labels. Can you be generous enough in service to release that person or that situation from the binding that you've created around it? And I'm not, by any means, I'm not trying to shame or guilt. That's never my intention. If you feel that, that's something that you may want to investigate within you and forgive. But just to bring some awareness and always curiosity, coming from a place of neutrality, not judgment, not condemnation, neutral observation. So let's move on to service. I feel good when I can help others. I mean, this is the generative force and abiding law of the universe. If you've done any studying with law of attraction, there's some really good material out there, but things like The Secret, it's missing some very key elements in it. And one of the major pieces that I found that was missing in a lot of the information that I was absorbing when I was studying the law of attraction and the universal laws and principles was that it has to be in alignment with the good of all. So when we can surrender what the little I wants, what the ego wants, to what the bigger I needs, it aligns with that energy of the universe, which is infinite and abundant and generous. It's always giving. And when we choose to be in the flow with it, that giving just moves through us. And we have to allow ourselves, or rather, we have to trust that when things go, something else comes. And that this is just the cycle. To not grasp onto anything, not hold on to it too tightly, not bind it with your identifications or your values. To appreciate it as it comes and as it goes. Be grateful for the joy and the pain. And an empathy. So, I mean, all of these go together so well. Empathy and forgiveness. How can we reach forgiveness for some really sore wounds if we're not able to find the empathy? If we're not able to position ourselves in the other person's shoes, like really coming from a neutral place, not from the person who has been a victim to that person or circumstance, but neutrally observing, where does that come from in the other individual? It always is coming from their hurt. It, probably 99% of the time is coming from a hurt and stunted inner child. So we have to learn the active observance through neutrality and to tune in to the more empathetic nature that all human beings are capable of. Our last couple of cards, this will give us maybe a little bit of direction. How do we work with these places of forgiveness? So Archangel Michael, I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer. Archangel Michael is the one who is the protector and can cut all of these cords, these messy cords that we attach to other people in situations, or we allow attached to us, and then we're feeding energy back and forth, we're manipulating energy. Archangel Michael, if that's something you subscribe to, is the force that we can call upon, whether it's that it's believed that it's an angelic source outside of us, which I think both of what I'm going to offer can be true, or it's invoking that archetype within us, the part that is the right hand of God and has the sovereignty to sever these cords from a ferocious love. It's the place within that says, I will not stand for you to be disempowered and for me to be disempowered and for me to take part in this toxic exchange any longer. No. Sever the cord, cut it. Reclaim your power and give that power back to them. This can tie in with the projection that we put on someone else that limits them as to what and who they can be by saying that they are this, this, or this, even if it's got a positive intention. We must learn to be the mystical shaman, the one who is the myth maker and the storyteller, but is not identified with any of those stories, which allows us to maintain our formlessness, our transformational nature. The other card here is, if you get nervous, focus on service. So service is at the very center of our spread here. This card says, put your entire intention on answering the question, how can I make the world a better place? And the laws of the universe will begin to take care of it. The same way of, instead of just asking for what I think is best for me, please deliver what is in the highest good for all involved. And just notice how these very simple shifts in your words and your intentions, how it makes you feel. Because then not only are you aligned with the universe and the laws of the universe, the laws of attraction, abundance, and multiplication, but then you are also in service. And this continues to create this abundant lifestyle and attracts more and more of these opportunities to bless other individuals, to find these currents of inspirational force that guide us through life and give us the little synchronicities that tell us that we are on the right path, or that we are on the highest path. Such a full message here, very well balanced. To recap, take some time during this new moon cycle, like daily, don't hit the ground running. Create the pocket of time in the beginning of your day just to be grateful. Maybe it's just one thing. Maybe it's just, I'm grateful that I woke up this morning. Especially if you've got a lot of other stuff going on, it's heavy, and like that's really the only thing that you can start to lean and open into with gratitude. Just start with one thing. I'm grateful that I took the next breath. You know, I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. You can go so basic with it because you assign the meaning. So start with some daily practice of gratitude. And then respond to your body. Thank you, body. Thank you for this miracle of having a vessel, a vehicle to move through life and experience all of the senses and the spectrum of emotions and both the beauty and the pain. And then start to watch your expectations. Watch any of this programming that you may have about, if I just have this thing, I will be XYZ. I will be happy. Most time we can distill it down to happiness. But I would recommend that you ask yourself, when you notice that, what do I need to have peace right now? Peace, acceptance. And forgiveness is here. Forgiveness it seems to be one of the places that, forgiveness and empathy. These are going to be where our challenges are probably going to show up for the next couple of weeks. It's been a quite fiery time. I mean, have y'all noticed? Have you noticed people's tempers flaring maybe a little bit? Maybe in yourself, had been a little bit more edgy. Just forgiveness. Don't hold on to anything. Whatever it is, don't hold on to it. There's a difference between forgiveness and accepting a behavior. Like accepting it, allowing it. There's a very big difference. You can have forgiveness for something or someone and draw a boundary right there and say, no more. That's it. I love you. Thank you. I forgive you. But this is complete. So the new moon is offering a lot of, there's a variety of plantings that are happening, these seeds that are being sown. Where can you open to more forgiveness? In yourself especially. Where can you forgive yourself for anything, any part of yourself that you have held in judgment? You're not your thoughts. You are simply aware of your thoughts. Continue cultivating your meditative practice. This is where you build the energy, spiritual energy, to cultivate the skills of reflection and self-actualization, self-realization. Spiritual energy is what you're experiencing when you're enthused by something and all the high energy comes up inside of you. So the same way we're looking for the cracks, the shadows, and all of this material that kind of keeps us in the suffering loops, acknowledge all of the little miracles that are happening constantly. Like acknowledge when when you're in that flow state, something seems to go right, or you get the synchronicity. Really take a moment, notice it, be grateful for it, feel it. What does it feel like? Build a relationship with that inspirational energy, with the enthusiasm, because that is the current of life. This is spiritual currency. You are creating and building your spiritual bank account when you do this. And anywhere that you keep feeling stuck or you keep bumping up against any of this or anything else, either call upon the archetype within you or outside of you, whatever you subscribe to as Archangel Michael, the one who can sever the cords from anything that is not serving the highest good of both parties, and reclaiming your sovereignty, coming back into your core, where it's only you, just your energy. So you can start to discern what is mine, what is yours. It makes the whole process of self-reflection much easier. And then if you get nervous, if you feel anxiety, if you're unsure, you're confused, focus on service. If you're depressed, focus on service. Take the focal point from yourself, from your suffering, which just continues to consume and create more, to outside of yourself in a way, how can I make the world a better place? So it feels very like this is a welcoming week. Welcoming this new way of moving through life, less identified, less held up by unmet expectations, less held down by the burden of resentment, and more focused on the lightness, the enthusiasm, the inspiration, and the synchronicity. And service being at the heart of it. How can I be of service in this situation? It's Leo. It's the heart. So this is a very Leo message. And it feels like the energy is it's like a rose. It's going to continue to blossom and open. This is just the beginning, and this is where we get to plant those seeds. And there really is like this open opportunity to plant many seeds right now. Okay, the spiritual bank investments. You can plant lots of seeds that are going to grow throughout the fall and through this next moon cycle. So really take time. Our our new moon is going to peak on Wednesday, Thursday here in the US, and that will be the apex. That will be when the time is most ripe. And I have found that full moons, we really focus on a lot of the cleaning and clearing out, but if you wait for some of these rituals of cleaning, just noticing intuitively, what feels right for you. There's usually something that's like, okay, I need to get rid of that, or I need to address this, I need to complete that. It's so that this force of the new energy that moves with the new moon, that is able to produce an accelerated plant. It produces in an accelerated way when we clear that space. This is why doing any kind of exfoliation is ideal at the new moon. Monks generally cut their hair on the new moon. So that would be that's what is suggested here in this oracle reading and transmission. And let's see, anything else? No, this feels complete. So beautiful. Thank you all for sharing this time, this space, and receiving this message. And if you haven't subscribed or please do. The likes help the algorithm so more people can see this. Share if you think it's a message that can help others. And thank you so, so much for your time and for your service and for your presence. If you haven't received a reading from me already, I do offer one free personalized reading per new moon and full moon oracle reading. So if that's you want one, you got to drop it in the comments and say reading please, and it has to be your first time receiving from me. So thank you again. Loving you all during this new moon cycle and wishing you all the greatest movement and transformation and the sense of lightness, possibility, openness. Wishing that all for you. So until we meet again, keep it pure, stay simple, pura vida.